Good evening and welcome to Face for the Newsfirst team. I'm Nadeesha. Well, we've had three national elections, and in all three, the opposition parties did not do well. In fact, there is a huge question mark over the future of each of these opposition parties and what they are going to do this year, next year, and up until the next election. The presidential election will be in 4.5 years' time or somewhere there, unless, of course, we have the provincial council elections. But now we have a new player on the scene, the Dinana Dakuna, and we've invited Mr. Nadeesha De Silva, who is no stranger to our program, to come and explain to our viewers the rationale for this particular new movement and what they are going to do. Good evening, Nadeesha. Welcome back to Face to Face.
Good evening, Nadeesha. Thank you very much.
Now, Nadeesha, you yourself, I must say, you have been fairly consistent over the past couple of years in your own political views. And you have not been part of the major parties in recent times, but you have always gone with an alternative view, which is of course very good for democracy. And now you are part of this new movement called the Dinana Dakuna. So first of all, what does this name mean? Dinana Dakuna. Why Dakuna? I mean, Dinana, yes, of course, we can understand victory, but why Dakuna? Why not? It conjures up the southern province, but I'm sure you have a national movement, so that must be including the western province, the central highlands, the north, the east, all of that. But just tell us about this name.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. Nadeesha, Dinana Dakuna. Dinana, of course, you know what Dinana is. Dakuna, in the sense, what this Dakuna means is the right. So we are representing the right-wing politics. And why we call it Dinana Dakuna, we haven't seen in Sri Lanka in the recent past a right-wing political party in power. In different situations, we have seen UNP-based governments. We saw Ranil Wickremesinghe last 2 years as the president. All these are like, we feel that these are right-wing politics. When UNP is in power, we feel that it's right-wing politics. When Ranil Wickremesinghe was in power, we feel that it's right-wing politics. But properly, if you take after 1994, we haven't seen a proper right-wing party in power. So what we are actually suggesting, a victorious right-wing political movement to take the power in Sri Lankan politics.
Now that's very interesting. So you clarified immediately that this does not mean the South. It means the right wing.
It's ideological right wing.
It's the ideological right wing. So now the next question obviously is, who's in it? And of course, in Sri Lankan politics, it's a real who's who, isn't it? This one is in this party and that one in that party, and then tomorrow they tend to change their stances. And you know, there are some politicians who have jumped 5, 6, 7 times sometimes. One can't keep track of it. But with this now, it's fairly clear cut. It's a right-wing movement. Who is it? Who are the major players in it?
See, before telling you who are the major players in it, we will think about it in this manner. Now this Dinana Dakuna is in the early stages of its lifespan, right? So it's completely an ideological movement which is having the focus of in having power in future. We know that we don't have an election till 2029, a national election again, right? So right now what we see, who we see in this movement are the people who are actually having an ideology, a political ideology, not going after party to party. So see, we can't find people who are completely pure, like pure politicians. You don't find. Pure politicians means you will never find a person who will be in this party forever. There are such people. But even, you know, now Sajith Premadasa couldn't stay in his father's own party. He also had to move. There are situations. But in the early stages, we have a set of people, a set of political activists and social activists who believe in right-wing politics, who believe that right-wing politics is the only way to take this country from this point onwards. So these members who are with us right now are true believers of right-wing politics. But as you said, when a movement moves on, when it gathers the momentum, so when an election comes by, so as we are focusing on political power, Niresh, we can't say that we are going to deal with newborn babies. There will be politicians who will be with us, but at least there will be some set of ideology, set of
the party itself will have its ideology.
Actually, it's still not a party.
Yes,
we don't
it's a
have
movement.
It's a movement. We don't have any intention.
I presume that, you know, it's a movement, but you know, as movements grow, you will consider becoming a political party, and perhaps in 4 years' time you might be fielding candidates.
True.
Right. And I gather now I can see that you're a little reluctant to name names at this early stage.
No, I can name, like, so actually the person Shira Laktilaka is the main person. We consider him as the mentor of this movement, right? So with him there are a few others, including myself, who initiated this movement. We had an idea even before the presidential election that this is how it, even before the presidential elections, we were having the idea that this type of a movement should be needed in this country. But at that time it was not the time, you know, because we felt the political map. When you look at the scenario, how the parties move, how the people, how the candidates move and all, so we can understand that that was not the moment. But when the elections are gone, now no elections to become, like no presidential election, no general election in for next few years. So this is the time to develop a proper movement. There are names. There are few former governors with us. There are lots of politicians who are from UNP, SJB as well. They are not included in the movement, but they are well-wishers for us. Lots of well-wishers whom they believe that this has to be the future.
Now it's interesting that you mentioned that that even before the presidential election, that there was a feeling that there needed to be a right-wing movement. So that seems to indicate quite clearly that there was a certain level of dissatisfaction on the right wing even before the presidential election.
Yes.
So that means that that dissatisfaction was among people who did not subscribe to the views of either the SJB or the UNP.
Yes. If I explain it more, you can come back to the most recent result in the local government elections. So in the local government election, Niresh, I think this I told a few days ago as well in one of those programs. Now we can see SJB and UNP and all these so-called right-wing parties, not the right-wing parties only, all these opposition. The opposition is consisting of few elements. So all these elements together, now they believe the rejection which NPP had is a victory for them. But what they actually, this election gives a really a good overview of the Sri Lankan political situation right now. Just see the rejection, how these people have, how these parties have received. NPP, yeah, they have won the election, that's true. But if you think about the rejection, they have been rejected by 57% of the voters. And if you just take
கடந்த சனிக்கிழமை இரவு பிரதிவாத
මට හිතනවා මේක ලේසි වැඩිද කියලා.
දැන් මෙහෙම නොකියමුනේ.
ඔව්නේ. දැන් මේක වැරදුනත් එක්කනේ කොහොමද?
ඔව් ගෙස් එකක් එහෙම ගෙස් එකක් ගත්තා.
ඒක වැරදුනා. ඒ වුණාට කොහොම හරි ඉතින්
If we don't get growth to 4.5%, 5% instead of the base case of 3%, I'm afraid we will have to restructure our debt again in 3 to 4 years.
Who is responsible for the growth for the year 2024? Is it the Ranil Wickremesinghe administration or is it the Anukumar Dissanayake administration?
There is a 60 billion rupees excess that the consumers has given to CB, which should not have been given.
This whole tariff methodology business has got well politicized, and the public has got themselves in a twist on this.
Long-term generation plan is
JB, they have been rejected by 78%. UNP 95%. Similar with other parties, Nama Rajapaksas and Dalit Jayavedas, all of them were rejected. None of them were selected actually, right? So this shows the current political scenario. And also, in that case, if you take the right-wing parties, I call these two parties, SJB and UNP, are so-called right-wing parties. Actually, they are not the right-wing. They are so-called right-wing parties.
Where would you place them, the UNP and the SJB, in the political spectrum? Because you can't call them left-wing parties.
They are not left-wing parties, right? Now, about UNP, you don't have to. There's nothing to talk about even right now. Okay, UNP has the brand elephant. Up to now, elephant is the only brand in Sri Lankan politics. That remains. You know that once a Balgano, you get the elephant, but nothing in it, right? That's all. SJB actually, they have lots of good potential. They have people who think in a liberal manner. There are members who are extremely capable of running a neoliberal economy. There are such people. But the problem we find in SJB is their leadership. If you are believing in right-wing politics, if you are believing in neoliberal economy, if you are believing in liberalism, so you should have your backbone to say that these are the values that we believe in. These are the values that we are standing upon. But we can't, even when you take the blueprint of the SJB, that says something else, and Sajith Premadasa is reluctant to say that it is the same thing. He uses some other words to say something else.
Interesting point of view. But now let's look at where your movement is going to draw more participants. Unlikely to get it from the left wing or the far left or the the left, which is represented by the NPP. So are you looking at the SJB and the UNP, and do you believe that those are disintegrating to the point where their members would actually consider joining your movement?
Okay. We can categorize the Sri Lankan voter in few ways. Now, the reason we thought of having this movement as a platform for people to stand on. So there are a few categories. Now we know, if you take, now you said it's the far left, which NPP is. Actually, NPP is not the far left. It's the JVP which is the far left, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, NPP is actually having another element, a main element called JVP, and they are far left. And when we see how NPP won these two main elections, their voters, majority of their voters, except the JVP cadre who were with them, the 3%, was the virtual technocratic middle class of the country. Why I say virtual technocratic middle class? It's technocratic, it's a technocratic middle class which can be influenced via virtual methodologies, right? Even if a person, even if a farmer who's in Monaragala can be influenced by YouTube or Facebook or something, so we call them technocrats, we call them virtual technocrats, right? So that class brought this NPP to power. That these people, they brought Anurukumara Disanayaka to the presidency. They are not far left people, right? But now we can see the frustration which is slowly building within themselves. That is the result of the that frustration actually brought the current result which we saw in the local government election. So we can clearly see the frustration is growing up, and the technocratic middle class, NPP is losing the grip from the middle class, the technocratic middle class. In the same time, we have the other two parties, UNP and SJB. They have number of voters who are extremely disappointed about their two parties. They think in a right-wing manner. They think they have that right-wing ideology. They think that liberal economy is the only way to get this country out of this situation, but they don't have a place to stand upon. So SJB and UNP, actually they are not doing their duty as a proper opposition to NPP. So this is the main reason. So then we find that the people who are getting frustrated in the NPP camp, and also the SJB and UNP years, actually they are the UNP years, who are frustrated, should have a place to come and stand.
Now, this term you use, virtual technocrats, are you in a way describing the floating voters? Because as you said, in the previous elections, the JVP got 3%, and then there was a huge move, which of course was the, you can call it the SLPP vote or the floating vote, but that movement was towards the NPP. So are you saying that this lot of voters are likely to shift back and to move towards the right wing?
Because they have a history since 2015. People who experienced the corruption and all these malfunctionalities of the Rajapaksa government from 2005 to 2015 all these malpractices and all these things they have seen, and they expected the real change. They wanted the good governance. That's why they brought Yahapalane into power, right? So those floating votes which you say, so they brought Yahapalane into power, but that government did not
didn't deliver on the promises.
They didn't deliver. And they did, I mean, in the very early stages, including this central bank, the
bond scam.
The bond scam and all. So people really got disappointed. And then what happened? The same people who brought Yahapalane into power, they brought Gotabaya into power as well, which became an utter failure. Right? The same lot of people who were having the expectations of a good government, who were having an expectation of a system change. The system change itself, they wanted a different political culture. Right? That's what they expected from Yahapalane and also from Gotabaya. Gotabaya's campaign, that's how they brought this Viatmaga. That was the showcase, right? That was what they showed to the people. They showcased this Viatmaga to get Gotabaya into power, which became an utter failure. So now what? Even Gotabaya didn't deliver. So
that's putting it mildly. He was chased out of office after bankrupting the country.
So now the same lot of people are with Malimawa, NPP.
So you're saying the same set of voters.
Same set of voters. And some new voters joined it as well, right? Some new voters were always joining the existing trend. But that is the same thing and same expectations of the people. So they are getting disappointed only. Why they are getting disappointed? This is the problem. That's why we have to find an answer. That's where we need to find an answer. We were always, I mean, now imagine what they expected from Gotabaya. He was branded as a Virua, right? And then here, I mean, it's not a selection, it's a rejection. NPP came to power not because of a selection. That is also because of rejection. People rejected the other people. People rejected Ranil Wickremesinghe. People rejected Sajith Premadasa. And Anura Kumara Disanayaka was the person who was least rejected. Even he didn't get 50% on the first round, right? So this is how Sri Lankan politics work. Now that's why we are saying.
So it seems that your projection of your group is that as the years go by, next year, the year after that, that this floating vote will move towards the right. But is that realistic?
Yes. We have to think of the way the Sri Lankan citizens think, and also we have to deliver the correct thing. Now, what we are preaching or what we are telling the citizens is that what we believe this is correct. So we believe that right-wing economy, liberal, neoliberal economy has to be established, and that is the only way to get this country out of this issue. Neoliberalism, it means like, I mean, we have to be practical, right? We have to use the pragmatic ways to measure how it has to be applied in different situations and different elements. That can be discussed in a vast manner, not like this, but even like, so in the same time, we can see that the methodologies used by NPP government is definitely going to be failed. I mean, they will do somewhat only. Right now also what you are saying is they are doing things, they are succeeding only the things which they are continuing from where Ranil Wickremesinghe stopped, right? So those were the neoliberal acts, neoliberal moves which Ranil Wickremesinghe took at that time. We are not saying that, I mean, we have to accept that the ex-president, former president did really a good job to get the country out of the mess which it was at that time. Even the current government, they accept it, right? So otherwise, whatever they practice in this usual JVP methodology, it's not going to work.
Interesting points of view, but we will probe this further right after the break. I am in conversation with Mr. Nadeesha De Silva of the Dinana Dakuna movement. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Test cricket. It's not like other sports.
It's not even like other cricket. It's not just about power
Or speed. It's much more than that.
It's about skill, intelligence,
Endurance.
courage.
Some things take time.
evolving, building,
Developing. It can change slowly or in an instant.
They say it's not for everyone.
but greatness rarely is.
Once again, the saviour. What a champion.
This is cricket at its purest.
The one. The pinnacle. A battle of wills.
Of minds.
Of hearts.
The mace, the ultimate prize.
Lords, the ultimate venue.
This is the ICC World Test Championship Final.
My goodness! What a performance!
The ultimate test.
World Test Championship 2025 Final. Australia versus South Africa. Live on TV1 3 p.m. onwards.
With your name, your unique talent, your phone number. To Sri Lanka's Got Talent PO Box 100 Ratmalana or WhatsApp us on 076 599 7788.
Test cricket.
ලෝකයක් බලා ඉන්න ලෝකයෝ හැපෙන ලෝක ටෙස්ට් ශූරතාවලිය.
It's about skill, intelligence,
Endurance.
ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාව හා දකුණු අප්‍රිකාව අතර
Wills. Of minds.
of hearts.
සෙල්ලම ඉස්සල්ලම TV1 තිරපිටියෙන් ජූනි 11 සිට 15 දක්වා.
This is the ultimate test match.
දේශපාලනයේ මතවාද, මතභේද, මත විමසුම් සහ මත ගැටුම්.
ජනාධිපති අරමුදලේ සල්ලි අරගත්තු කට්ටියනේ.
විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ മന്ത്രിවරු ෂෝ එකක් දාන්නවත් මාධ්‍ය සංදර්ශනයක්වත් නෙමෙයි කතා කරන්නේ. සර් මෙයාට පිස්සු. කේලම් කියන එක මම නැවතුවා.
උතුරේ ලුණු දකුණේ ලුණු කියලා ලුණු නෑ බොස් හරිද? රටේ ලුණු තියෙන්නේ.
ලාංකේය දේශපාලනයේ පෙරලිකාර අදහස් සමගින්
ආණ්ඩුවට විරුද්ධව 50%ට වැඩිය තියෙන හැමතැනකම අපි විපක්ෂය ප්‍රාදේශීය බලය පිහිටුවා.
අපි ටර්න් එකක් ගැහුවේ මහා මැතිවරණයේදී.
දැන් අපි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ නෑ අපි මේ පොඩි මිනිස්සු කියලා කියමුකෝ. මාලිමාවේ ඕනිම අයියා කෙනෙක්. හිට්ටි බච්චි බිට්ටි බුට්ටි ඕනි කෙනෙක් එක්ක එන්න.
නරියා මිදිවැලේ කියන මිදි කන්න පැනලා කිව්වලු අල්ල ගන්න බැරි වෙලා කිව්වලු ඇඹුල් කියලා.
දිනෙන් දින උණුසුම් වන දේශපාලනයේ අවසන් කැපුම. ෆයිනල් කට් unedited. සතියේ දිනවල රාත්‍රී 7:30ට TV1 ඔස්සේ.
Welcome back to Face to Face. I am in conversation with Nadeesha De Silva of the Dinana Dakuna movement. Now, Nadeesha, something struck me. You're expecting a mass movement of voters over the next few years, perhaps, from the left all the way to the right. But in the middle, you do have, if you look at the political spectrum, you have the SLPP, you have the UNP, and you have the SJP. What makes you think that these voters won't flock to these three parties, or perhaps one or two of them, rather than moving far right?
No, what I was trying to tell previously as well. So we are targeting the right-wing minded people. So that is actually SJB and UNP. The reason that we are here is that UNP and SJB are not doing their job. Up to now, they have not become a proper alternative or proper opposition to JVP and NPP. I think I've told you earlier as well, JVP has the ideology, NPP has the narration. Without the narration, JVP is only 3%. Okay. Without JVP, NPP is just populism, nothing else. Okay, it's just a populist movement. So these two together only has that value. So our target is, it's not actually we are targeting anything. It's just what we are seeing is SJB and UNP, they are not being capable of being a proper opposition to NPP government. So we need to form a proper opposition which can ideologically contest against JVP, and also a proper platform which has a proper narration to contest with the NPP is needed. So again, what I am going to say is that SJB and in SJB and UNP, we call them all UNPers. SJB is nothing, it's UNP. All the UNPers are waiting for a proper place to step in, right? So this is not there. What we are creating is that thing, which we are here. Dinana Dakuna is here just because that SJB and UNP are not capable of fulfill their responsibility as a proper right-wing parties, proper right-wing opposition.
Now, Nadeesha, people in Sri Lanka, but people in all democracies, they tend to vote with their stomachs. I mean, if they are doing well financially, then they will be more favorable of the party in power. At the moment, the NPP government is going slow. Some would say very slow. Others would say that nothing much is happening. But the NPP itself is preaching patience and saying that they are in it for the long haul, and their reforms which they have started will bear fruit over the coming months and years. So have you given any thought to that possibility, that these reforms they might spur the kind of growth which will bring jobs in large numbers, and spur economic growth, which could then move the voters back towards the left? Or is that highly unlikely?
Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. You will never see the economic growth in this manner. So the previous year, from 5% to 3.5, now it has come down. Okay.
You are talking about GDP growth, but
the GDP growth.
Those numbers are a little fickle, because we had gone down to minus 3.8 or something. So obviously there would be a rebound, which was the 5% we saw. So you can't use that as a realistic yardstick. So we're looking at now projections are 3.5 for this year. But at the same time, India, which is next door, has grown by 7.4% in the first quarter of this year. So which was quite unexpected. So the region is growing. It's a matter of whether Sri Lanka manages to leverage on it.
So that's why I'm telling that we have to start doing this ideological politics. Now, if JVP is doing ideological politics, if they practice,
Are they?
If they, if they practice their own ways, then there should be an opposition who should suggest the alternative, right? That's why you need ideological politics, which was not practiced in Sri Lanka for a long time. So that is what we are planning.
I think what was practiced was corrupt politics rather than ideological.
Opportunism. In Sri Lanka, which was practiced was opportunism and the populism. Populism and opportunism only. That was only practiced in Sri Lankan politics. So in this case now, that's why I'm telling, we are having our own ideology. We know we have our policies. This is how the country should run. This is how the economy has to be. This is how the civil rights has to be established and all. We believe in individualism, not collectivism. Okay, which the left parties believe is collectivism, but we are believing in individualism. We believe that the individual citizen, empowering the individual citizen, only will develop the society. The individual citizens together will develop the society only. The collectivism is the other side of what we believe. So what we preach is what we believe. So that actually has to be practiced by the so-called right-wing parties, which has not happened. So this is why we are here. Again, I'm telling, this is why we are here. So if we believe that using those methodologies or those ideologies which AVP is believing in will never bring country to any better position. So in that case, we will be the definite alternative.
Now, Nadeesha, your hypothesis is built upon the economy not prospering as promised. So at the same time, you're expecting the voters to move away from the NPP because they would become dissatisfied and move more towards your right-wing movement. But in order for them to be convinced by your movement, they would want to know what your economic policies would be. So can you elaborate on that?
See, before that, what I have to say is, now you are always asking me about NPP and whether NPP will fail, whether NPP...
because it is
that is the thing.
Party that is in office right now.
Yes, but actually we are not concerned about what NPP is doing, right? We are concerned about the country. What NPP is doing to the country is something that we are concerning, right? But actually what we concern is to build the right-wing base. Okay, so building the right-wing base is our policy, our practice right now. So that's why I'm telling, let NPP do their job in their manner. Let JVP play their role in the government. So we are going to build the opposition to them, which is not existing right now.
Right. So that's all very fine. But again, I come back to the economic question, which in the end is the main question. The reason why people vote. I mean, there were some instances when people voted on different reasons, such as when they brought the Yahapalana government into office, because it was corruption which drove them to do that. However, when you look at Sri Lankan political history, it is for the large part, to my understanding, it is the economic prosperity or lack of it which has decided who people vote for. So again, what would the the Dinana Dakuna right-wing movement's economic policies, economic ideologies, what would they be?
See, now when it's up to economic ideology, we have to play a very pragmatic role in that case. Now we know that extreme right wing, like extreme liberalism, is the Austrian school of economics. So that is a fantasy which is very much equal to the communist state with the which the leftist extremists are believing in. Both of these we see as extreme fantasies, right? But with the current scenario, I mean with the current movements in the global global economy, we can't get rid of the neoliberal concepts. So we have to absorb them. I mean, if you want to grab a portion from the, how to be competitive, we have to have the neoliberal modules to be applied in various occasions. At the same time, Sri Lanka was always most likely like it was a welfare state for a longer time. So people's mentality is settled there. So in that aspect, the social democracy is where we have to start with, but exactly not social democracy, something between this. I mean, the Keynesian economy model, you know, the social democracy which is being practiced. So that and the Chicago School of Economics. Between these two, we have to have a line where we should not go beyond that, and we have to have that line. We should not. Now, going further down, we have seen a huge government service which is not
viable at all,
right? So these things we have to come out. So that's why I'm saying social democratic model, but it should move towards the neoliberalism, but not to the extent of Austrian School of Economics what they believe. We should be somewhere around, pragmatically moving from different issues we have to address in different ways.
Now your theory seems to assume that the three main opposition parties, the SJB, the UNP and the SLPP, would maintain their current status both ideologically and also would not get stronger. But is that realistic? Because we are looking at 3 or 4 years down the road. Do you not see, let's take the UNP, the possibility that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe may actually step down and there could be a resurgence in the UNP under a new set of leaders? And in the same way, the SJB could change as well. And then you have the SLPP, which seems to have shed the older Rajapaksas, but there is still a Rajapaksa who is leading. But do you see any possibility of any of these three actually getting stronger?
See, right now what we are seeing out of all three, Nama Rajapaksa is the only person who's working towards a plan. That's what we can see. They are working towards a plan which we are not, I mean, their ideology is not something which is in tally with us. But Ranil Wickremesinghe and SJB both, I mean, SJB, it is a populist movement, it's a populist party. That's how they have worked throughout these few years. I mean, promising that and this, giving very simple solutions for very complex issues. When you have a very complex problem, Sajith Premadasa gives a simple equation, simple solution. This is not the way that you should solve issues. I mean, that is populism. That is the same thing which NPP did, but they did it better. That's why they came to power. Their narration was better than SJB's. UNP itself, now what we are seeing, Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying different things that we are hearing then and there, that he is forming new leaders and all. So whatever it is, if you don't stick to a proper ideology, if you don't stick to a proper plan, we don't find anything. Like promising utopias will not give you a solution to this thing. You should come with proper realistic reforms, right? Ideological reforms. I mean, nowadays the next generation, I don't think that they will, I mean, they will be fooled in a way, but still, if you can, now we have time, right? We have 3-4 years to see. People will slowly understand that they have been fooled by many people, many parties, many leaders. And the worst thing is that always we have gone after persons, heroes. Always we have believed that this exact person will give us a solution, that the SN Kumaryas and all these are the things that we believed in. Okay, so different heroes will come and save us. No, but definitely now what we have to work on is people should start understanding that ideology based politics is needed.
Right, and we are almost out of time. So my final question is, you don't seem to have looked at the possibility of the UNP and SJB merging and becoming one party once again, which would then be a very strong bloc, wouldn't it?
That will become a strong bloc in up to some extent, yes. When you add the numbers, sometimes it will happen. But merging these two parties right now is not easy as much as it's.
Well, I mean, as you said, we have 3 or 4 years, so
yeah. But
anything is possible in Sri Lankan politics.
Anything is possible in Sri Lankan politics.
You might see.
That is opportunism again.
Yes, but you might see Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sajith Premadasa becoming best friends. No,
even
not likely.
Even Sajith Premadasa and Ranil Wickremesinghe becomes best friends now. Now the problem is the bottom. Okay, they will start fighting for each and every block. Now it has gone too far. I mean, they will join together at different scenarios, different occasions, for different reasons, but merging, I don't think that will happen. With it won't be easy. It won't be easy. Even if that happens, the general public will soon understand that what exactly is behind that. They will succeed only if they are ready to build their party upon a proper ideology, proper plan. If not, it will not work. So in that case, if they are going to go together, so we might play a part as well in that.
The possibilities are endless.
I will tell you one thing. SJB and UNP will work together only if they have our ideology, right? So if they want to revive their parties, I'm telling you, they want to revive their parties, it's a huge challenge. Dinana Dakuna will be the only solution if SJB and UNP believe that they can build their parties again to a place where they can take power. They have to rely on the ideologies and the methodologies which Dinana Dakuna is proposing.
Interesting thoughts indeed, and it will be some time before we see what happens. But during that time period, 3 or 4 years, we are likely to see a lot of changes, because Sri Lankan politics is never dull. And I'm afraid we are out of time. It's been a very interesting conversation on the future of politics in Sri Lanka. My thanks to Mr. Nadeesha De Silva, my guest today from the Dinana Dakuna movement. Thank you very much, Nadeesha.
Thank you, Niresh.
And thank you to you at home for watching. Don't go away, because the news is coming up next. Have a great evening.